Hello everyone, welcome to Danganronpa 2, Get by Despair, and we're reading Danganronpa IF. Hopefully this will be the last episode. Hopefully, so we can go to the game where I have to be Yasami to beat up the Mono Beast. But let's see if we finish it today. She knew it would come to this. She knew why Monokuma would pose such an impossible exam. Junko is already looking forward to the next Despair game. She's going to erase everyone's memories, including mine. She just wants to torment us and fill us with despair before that happens. But Mukuro knew her sister's personality all too well, and that's why she was confident. She knew that the escape button was real. Whenever Junko brought despair to others, she always made sure there was a possibility that despair would befall her instead. If the students won this gamble and made it through this horrible situation, they would finally escape the outside world. That outcome will obviously fill Junko with immense despair. In the same way she left the clue Monokuma's control program, Junko could not be satisfied unless she takes pains to ensure her own destruction. It was this quality that made Junko the ultimate despair. That's why Mukuro was determined to do it. She knew she was the only person who stood a chance of making that outcome possible, even if she had to risk her own life. But right now, Mukuro wanted to live more than anything. She wanted to hold on to this world, a world she had no interest in previously. She didn't even know this hesitation she felt was disappointing in her. But she wanted to live and continue searching for a new path. A path where she could abandon her submission to despair, where she could omit the sins of life of the past and continue to live. Mukuro, who was known as a war machine, found her heart beset by overwhelming fear and anxiety. Until now, it has never occurred to her that determination was necessary to live. As she was brushing that fear aside, she quietly said, thank you, Makoto. Unfortunately, the words she said to the boy, who showed her new possibilities, never reached his ears. Sakura, however, heard her in front as she said, if you're planning to sacrifice yourself as an act of penance, I'll stop you with all my power. Though her words were firm, there was no unmistakable affection hiding them. Both girls had dedicated their lives to battle, and yet Mukuro felt a tinge of jealousy toward Sakura for possessing something she lacked. Mukuro leaned toward Sakura and whispered in her ear, what, are you serious? As Sakura's frown intensified, Monokuma's voice blared throughout the halls. Alright, I'm gonna start the exam now. Ready, set, go! There was no time for questions or objections. The frontmost Monokuma exploded, sending a roar wave of heat through the hall. But Mukuro didn't look away. She began moving, powered by resolute determination. Monokuma room. As soon as the graduation exam started, the mastermind focused her control entirely on Monokuma holding the escape button, and clearly synchronized her field of vision with it. She knew what was going to happen next. She knew she could predict what her sister Mukuro would do in this exact situation, where she could choose to focus her superhuman skill with weaponry. And so through Monokuma's eyes, she watched the scene unfold exactly as she had predicted. A pointed metal bar brushed through the explosion, heading straight for the weak point of Monokuma holding the escape button. Specifically, it was aiming for the point where the bomb's detonation and Monokuma's power source overlapped. It flew straight into the been fired by a master archer, in order to bring the spirit to Monokuma, and by extension Junko as well. The super soldier known as Mukuro Ikasawa drew the pipe like a spear, so it could attack the same weak points that appears in the nurse's office. As explosions filled the hallway until only fire remained visible. The spear's speed and precision all afford to its target defied all human logic. But the mastermind knew. She knew Mukuro had used the power to fill the world with despair. Power was all that disappointing girl had. But that power is useless against Monokuma. The mastermind had predicted that Mukuro would put all her effort into that throw. Monokuma caught the metal ball perfectly between his hands. The course of the throw knocked Monokuma back several yards, but the pointy end of the bar never pierced through his chest. Wow, that was disappointing. The mastermind turned to look at a different monitor. Once she looked at Mukuro's face when she realized that she failed to strike Monokuma. Despair seemed to finally Monokuma explode right before her eyes, completely obliterating the escape button. So when the student's memory of her disappointing sister's final moments after newfound hope sank into a dark pit of despair, Eventually, she turned attention to the surveillance camera that hadn't been destroyed, but instead of seeing Mukuro on the others, she only saw Sakura, who looked as though she had finished launching an attack. She only thought it was strange for a second, but then the hostily power mastermind completely understood the situation and shifted her point of view to Monokuma. But because of that single second, Junko would just feel a pang of despair. 3 seconds left. I like Danganronpa doing music at this. Amid the smoke, flames, and heat encircling the hallway, it burst through with the speed of a cannon shell. It glared at Monokuma with hot, boiling eyes that betrayed the icy expression of its face, and then, sharply, swiftly, strongly, it transformed into a living weapon that cuts through everything, revealing its true form in the Hall of Despair. 2 seconds left. Monokuma, who was still holding the metal bar in his hand, tried to move left. At that exact moment, the living weapon carved a path through the flames and appeared before him. His body, who has never been wounded on the battlefield, was sustained all manner of burns and injuries. But even so, it did not falter. Fire in its eyes never flickered once. 1 second left. Living weapon, Mukuro, slammed her knee into the back of the metal bar Monokuma was holding. The sharp tip of that metal bar pierced through Monokuma like a rail spike, shredding the detonator and his power source into pieces. Time's up. The 100 explosion ceased and smoke blanketed the hallway. Mukuro dived into Monokuma and the pristine escape button now rested in her hand. She and the other students hoped the academy had passed their graduation exams. It was only a small amount of despair. Monokuma had tasted it in only 3 seconds. First floor hallway. Junko? Mukuro looked down at Monokuma. He could no longer move or self-destruct. When she spoke to him, a static-filled voice emanated from his mouth. It seemed his communication functions still worked. Woo-hoo! I never expected you to do that. He's also unlike Monokuma. It seemed his voice modulator was unharmed as well. I must have overestimated you. I never thought you'd need anyone's help on the battlefield. When I give the signal, please launch before over roundhouse kick. Mukuro whispered 3 words to Sakura just before the explosion started. After Mukuro threw the metal bar, she jumped into the air. Exact moment Sakura unleashed a roundhouse kick. Right when Sakura's foot made contact with her own, Mukuro used the force generated by her kick to propel herself at Monokuma. Using the ultimate martial artist superhuman attack like a springboard, she shot herself through the air like an artillery shell. Enduring the tense heat, shrapnel, and blood-draining G-force, she stayed conscious as she charged through the hallway engulfed with explosions and despair. Mukuro trusted Junko. She trusted Junko to protect that she'll throw the metal bar, then catch it accordingly. Then she'll try to look at her face with despair set in. The Junko and Ashima she knew would definitely do that. Although Mukuro hadn't predicted that her sister would try to kill her with the spears of Gungnir, she had a better understanding of her actions now. As Mukuro stared Monokuma in his face, all he could do was laugh scornfully. You put your life in someone's hands for a deadly battle? I don't know how I feel about that. You always be half-assed disappointment. I guess this time I'll just say I lost because I didn't see this much disappointment coming. The end. Mukuro shook her head at Monokuma. No, you're wrong, Junko. Huh? If you want to talk about winning or losing, I think we lost before we even started. Mukuro's eyes shifted from side to side as if she was unsure of something. She fidgeted in place as she continued to talk. No matter how much despair that they felt, you didn't think they'll kill each other the way they were before. That's why you erased their memories. They aren't like the elders you forced in the past. You knew these things would never do it. That's why you believed, isn't it? What are you talking about? So, it's okay, Junko. I'll bring back everyone's memories someday, and I'll show you everyone's happiness and their bonds. I'll show you all that to you, and fill you with even more despair. Mukuro nodded after she said this, as if to cheer her sister up. After several seconds of silence, Monokuma responded, Finally beat me this one time, and the lame speech is the best you can do? Here's not a disappointment. You'll never fill me with despair. It's just constant disappointment. After pouting like a sore loser, continued to speak in his usual tone. But you guys will be back. And when the time comes, I'll let you guys to a wonderful place. I found out about this fun island. Don't you dare talk about my crew here. Don't you dare. I feel attached to this cast. How dare you? No. Oh, how dare you say that? No! Don't talk about the island. I hate that laugh. Monokuma's laughter filled the room before the static finally cut out and his remains fell silent. He wouldn't be talking again anytime soon. The mastermind was already preparing a new despair to bring to the world and to the students of Host Peak Academy, Junko included. In the end, the mastermind stayed in her Monokuma persona until the very end, and Junko Enoshima never showed her face again, as if she resented the despair Mikuro had given her. That thought almost filled Mikuro with despair, but when she heard her classmates calling for her, she stilled the despair into the depths of her heart. From now on, she will steal away all her despair. And one day when she can give Junko the perfect despair, she'll unleash all the despair she stored and plunge with her sister into a dark abyss. I won't leave my little sister alone. In the end, that was the first hope the disappointing older sister had felt since she was a child. Several hours later, main entrance. Mikuro, are you really gonna go out wearing that wig? After receiving a blood transfusion of the correct blood type, Makoto was beginning to show signs of recovery. Mikuro holding her wig to disguise herself as Junko Enoshima nodded. If I live as Junko, I might be able to understand her better. Despite that, Makuro's voice still sounded like her own, as if she hadn't fully decided. And I made up my mind. When I'm out there, I'll decide I'll accept everyone's hatred towards me and towards Junko. I can't die until I destroyed all the despair that Junko had spread. The damage the ultimate despair inflicted upon the world can never be measured in terms of money, culture, or even human life. Television broadcasts had already begun informing people that Junko Enoshima and Mikuro Ikisawa were the heart of ultimate despair. Among the survivors in the outside world, they are still people who hasn't been tainted by despair yet. Regardless of the fact that she released Makoto and the others, to these survivors she was nothing more than the reason the world ended. And to the terrorists wearing Monokuma masks who continued to ravage the world, Mikuro was nothing but a traitor. She was now in a hopeless situation of being enemies with most of humanity. But Mikuro wasn't making a big deal out of it. I'm going to try, not to kill anyone who comes after me for revenge. Wouldn't it be safer to just turn yourself in? Wondered Yasuhiro. Well, you might just get executed instead. But you can live and to be an old lady if your trial keeps getting pushed back. Mikuro slowly shook her head at Yasuhiro. Well, you might just get executed, so you can live to be an old lady if your trial keeps getting pushed back. Laws, justice, these things no longer exist. Is it really that bad out there? Maybe we should stay in here. Byakuya glared at Yasuhiro with contempt. Ignorant idiot should just shut up. Your fate won't change whether you stay in here or not. Though he was shocked to learn the Togami Corporation has been destroyed, Byakuya continued to remain firm and proud, even toward Mikuro. You are a rare asset, continued Byakuya, so I will let you live for now. Depending on your actions, I might consider forgiving your crimes after I built a new world. Only a Togami would boast that they're capable of forgiving the crime of ending the world. You don't need to do that. I don't plan on just surviving. After turning away from Byakuya, Mikuro looked at the other students. Everyone was this music hurts my heart. I love this sound. I love this soundtrack. I love this instrumental piece. It's so good. I forgot how good this piece is, so I know this is ending. Everyone was reacting in their own way. Kyoko had a look of quiet preparation. Toko, having just changed back from Genocide Jack, was panicked and confused. Mikuro looked back on the 2 years she spent with him, then turned to Makoto, who shared the same memories as her and gave him the escape button. Makoto, you press it. Me? I think it's better if you press it instead of me. She watched Makoto accept the button with some hesitation. Mikuro thought about what Monokuma said. You guys will be back. Mikuro knew that Monokuma was telling the truth. After all, the file the students needed to fully restore their lost memories remained hidden in the academy. The research notes of Yasuke Masuda, the ultimate neurologist. His research is the key to restoring everyone's memories. Even if the students no longer have their memories, they may be able to repair the bonds they have built among themselves over the past few years. But as long as their memories remain unstored, the mastermind can still repeat her deadly plan. About this, the line I mentioned earlier sounded strange. The students could not turn their backs on despair facing them. Then let's go. Makoto remembered everything that was happening in the outside world. The boy who chose to remain inside the academy 2 years ago was now choosing to leave. How much did he struggle to come to that decision? But he was determined to face the despair awaiting him outside and hid his internal conflict from the others. By protecting Makoto's hope, Mukuro could bring despair to her beloved sister. But she no longer knew what the end result of her goal would lead to hope or despair. She pulled the wig over her head and hid her face with her hands. Was she smiling because hope was waiting for her? Or was she crying because her path would lead to despair? When she lowered her hands were devoid of all emotion. Mukuro no longer knew what expression she would wear on her face. At the same time, Makoto pressed the escape button. The siren began to wail as the turrets retreated into the ceiling. From beyond the heavy door, a bright light appeared. An infinite number of ifs, and all the possibilities contained therein encased the world. Accepting everything, hope, despair, and even the feelings of that disappointing girl, Mukuro Yukisawa. Yay! Alright guys, that was Danganronpa IF. But before we did it, we beat it. But before I end the episode, I'm gonna show you a little something we have to do now. We have to start doing it. I'm scared. I'm super scared to do this with you guys. I'm very scared. I'm very scared. But we'll do Magical Miracle Girl Monami, which is experience the battles between Monami and the Monabi that are behind the scenes. That's the series we're gonna start next time. But now I'm gonna end it, and I'll see you all in the next Danganronpa 2